So given that tomorrow's Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, we are able to choose the truth, the true self, the real self, the one without all the layers, the one who doesn't need a front or a mask, but to be somebody else, the honest self, the living self. So how to figure out where we might not be is where we might have been shamed out of our authenticity in our childhood. So I went to an ACA meeting, adult children, alcoholics or dysfunctional parents, and I looked at this, and so I was looking at where I didn't feel free to express myself or be myself. And part of it was that I might turn into my father with anger, violent words or wrathfulness, worried that I'll be bad without even realizing I don't have the authorities I had when I was imprinted on that, that XYZ was bad, that I didn't feel worthy of love and respect, where I might even manifested a man who didn't want to commit, makes me feel like I'm inconvenient and a burden. I have to do the work, make the effort, that I'm unwanted one, and the other is the wanted one. Over-explaining to someone who can't understand me. I turned a man named Aaron. In the next video, I'll talk a little bit about the past, but into my higher power in terms of constant contact. And this is going back months ago, but unconsciously making him be my male caregiver, savior, because I couldn't change my father. Even though I found that what I was bringing out in him with this dynamic was arguing, interrupting, manipulation, constantly challenging. It was like a power struggle. Like I couldn't surrender trust, and I felt that he doesn't want to give me the positive feelings, and he wants to be the pleasured one, and the only way he'll even pleasure me is like food. Or I felt he kept bringing up like he wanted to give sexual touch or whatever, even though I didn't feel like I wanted to be sexual with someone. If there's not a future, that I felt it might cloud up my energy or make me attached for no reason. So I felt like I couldn't be myself. But then I was learning to take myself by the hand and walk forward in life and begin to come to terms that I have to surrender to God's love and accept the reality. I'm learning to mind my own business. That's a big part of being honest. Is this my business or not? And not blame anyone, and let people show me who they are, rather than need them to be who I need them to be. And the truth is that sometimes I felt maybe I couldn't be honest because my inner child felt so lonely and excluded, and I just wanted to feel included and not lonely and silenced also. So I would just do what I had to do, maybe not be myself, because I thought I wouldn't, if I was in the silence, maybe I wouldn't be accepted. And also so practicing to talk more from that place, but sometimes it's without the dignity that, because it might still be crude, it's not refined, and it's like a child who's experiencing without the developed skills or the tools, the vessels for certain things, the intention or the hope for the future. Could be that to be more honest is to get more rest, get more sleep, instead of rushing and not doing reflection time and figuring out where the best efforts are, and taking time to do accounting and check in. And then I wanted to learn more about this topic of being honest and maybe when we're not, and how it might show up in relationship. So I went to a different meeting, codependency, anonymous meeting, 12-step, and we were talking about how we have to be okay with sometimes just being so what I'm sharing is a reflection of me, but hearing from different people inspires me to see myself in different ways and seeing the emerging thoughts and ideas. So being okay with being the bigger person because of having a higher power means that somebody else doesn't need to be the bigger person. Also this preoccupation with a lack of loyalty because I hadn't felt worthy of being chosen. So this idea that maybe I couldn't be honest when I was preoccupied with a lack of loyalty, or when I felt like I needed the other person to be, the bigger person, like I need their approval versus my higher power, God. And also having finally gotten away with a lot of rage and tantrums, I didn't even want to act out, or I wanted to practice honesty and integrity. Thinking of so another one is when people don't want to admit a mistake is because when we don't want to be honest when we admit a mistake, because we feel like we make it making a mountain out of a molehill. Like it's the worst thing ever. Like I heard someone say to themselves tonight when they lost their phone for a moment. They left it somewhere. They said, I'm so stupid. I hate myself, and I couldn't believe I told her, please don't talk that way about yourself to me. So also in terms of the preoccupation with the lack of loyalty is because of someone who feels like they're not being chosen will interpret everything in that way. So it was in terms of with my father and my sister and my other sister, who had a feeling like had to compete, but I didn't believe in myself, so I just like gave up. I didn't even try to get the love. And I remember him always like making like them close to him, like they're his children, and I'm not. Like I had to be like further away. Like I didn't believe that I could get it, like if I would try, so I wouldn't try. And then this idea of like vulnerably arriving into the now is being honest that this is the first time I've been in this moment. So we could feel loved versus that defensiveness and expectation that could cause disappointment of how the moment should go, or defensive that maybe this is not a safe moment. And, this is really an internal experience. So the ignoring and neglecting of the self, we end up feeling ignored and neglected, even if it's not someone else doing it. We'll interpret that they're doing it because that's how our self is being treated by us. So like when I didn't eat enough, like I feel like it was easier to find myself suddenly harassing someone, like what it felt like I was harassing. Or when I didn't sleep, I felt like I was, harassing someone. In other words, I was being dishonest about what I needed. I was trying to force. And from Sri Rishi, she teaches that creating your own life terms is living in a time where you can, which is possible now because we're all living in a time where we can decide where we're going to live, the timeline that you want to live in, or like the flow. So this is such an amazing time. She says to be embodied, activated, awakened, and a lot of the work we're doing is coming from within, meaning that we have to remember how to listen and merge and align and trust with the elements again, which creates that synergy, that harmony in our lives. So once we're in the honesty, we're able to actually line up everything perfectly. And this is deeply trusting our own journey, moving accordingly. And the important pillar is creating our own terms of agreement. So this has to be us being honest with ourselves. We have to follow our agreement. We have to make an agreement, an honest agreement. Life's only yielding to what you agree to. The magic is real. In other words, God does God's part. When we do our part, it's in our atmosphere, our words, our thoughts. And these agreements are our personal and collective contracts. They're playing out in our lives. So we will feel like the honesty coming from the coherence in that way. And these vessels, which are to harness activation and bring precision and alignment to our words and actions, in other words, to be honest, is and celebrate the inner and outer element. This like dancingness is when we think about the sun. And she actually wrote this around the time of the summer solstice, which is the longest day of the year, that it burns and purifies what's no longer needed, and it prepares the vessels. And I wanted to share something about what the Lubavitcher rebbe, Rabbi Mendel Shneerson, in a discourse, a Chassidic discourse titled Lehavin Inyon Techiyas Hamaisim, that what they call the river Dinur is where the soul forgets its previous divine comprehension and delight. As it's moving up the level, the immersion makes it more sensitive. It's like becomes very raw. And when the vestiges of material consciousness get burned away in the fire, it nullifies what came before. During that experience of the fire, this soul is now, it's like it goes away. It feels like it's like painfully, like the fire burns it away, but actually it's going to be able to comprehend and delight in a higher level of divinity. Which becomes everything before it completely nullified. So I felt like I went through something like that. I burned away the filth of the world like a leather refined. I'm not saying it happens only once, but I'm saying I've actually experienced this, that I got the world off of me, as they call the river Dinur. So it's like then after we get to this next level, so then can come a whole new comprehension, a new consciousness, new sensitivity, new delight. And I feel like that's what's also just happened to me again recently, even though I wrote this down a while ago. And in order to process this, I spoke to my therapist about it. And what is this inner truth that was coming out? And at that time, it was that I deserve respect and dignity. So I must have not known that on some level. So it's a duty to please myself, my job, and no one else's. Another deep truth was that I'm often the most powerful one in the room, and my presence is very powerful. My silence often will speak a lot more than all my justifying, all my explaining. And I want to add, this idea that no is a complete sentence. And I have enough of my own business to mind staying in my own lane, and that's also to be honest. So we don't, stay in my own lane and portion. Like we don't start getting involved in other people's portion. People sometimes have an agenda. When they're helping, they might sometimes actually be hoping to get some of that portion. And no one can abandon or reject me as much as it hurts when I do it to myself. I also wanted to share something that love plus duty is trust. So duty is not love. I actually learned that in a coda meeting, but duty is not love. But love and duty, you don't have any power struggles because you have trust. So if there's obligation, they're bigger than either one. And then there's the love, which could be like waves. It could come and go. If you have both together, there's something that could be stable, which is trust. And this is not something you want to fight against because it's bigger than either one of you. And that's how sometimes we can get past this idea that, oh, is this a duty, or am I doing this out of real love? All right, okay, that's all for now. I wish everybody a happy and holy, to be sealed for a happy, healthy new year, heavenly and clear and pure and clean with your Shemayim. And I wish us all to be strong and courageous and free will, the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding serve the will. So to have free choice, to be able to choose God, to choose life, to choose good, and to be able to interpret everything in the good, and to see the beauty in ourselves and in others and in life, and to be able to really, it might sound scary to receive Mashiach, the one that knows you better than anyone, and just be available to a whole new world, complete transformation with a dissolution and then a reconcretization in a way. But it's what do I do first to become prepared? Do I go shower? Do I go clean? Do I go cook? Do I go wash dishes? Do I run home? Do I say Tehillim, the Psalms? And then you have to recognize this is the exact, it's perfect alignment. The most honest version of myself, where I'm the puzzle piece that's not here in the wrong place, or that's not there in the wrong place, it's here, and that's not facing that way, but it's facing the right way. So this is actually very holy work to be our real selves. May we get rid of everything get burned away in the most softest, easeful way, gentleness and with delight as we move into the next level of the comprehension